What's up everybody, welcome back to Mick Crafts, and today I'm going to be building part 2 of my diorama, the Bounty Hunters. This time it'll be a custom painted Mandalorian model, and my last video took up a lot of time with the model builds themselves, so I decided to try some new tricks I've learned to speed up the process for this video. There we go. Once the model was complete, I gave him a coat of flat black off camera and drilled some pilot holes for wires into his weapons before moving on to the Gundam model that he'll be fighting. I also didn't want to take up too much time building the Gundam, so I did some very poor stop motion to get him together quickly. I decided I wanted the Gundam to be intact rather than, partially broken apart like in the previous build, so for damage, I drilled some holes into select places to show the damage from the Mickdalorian's blaster, and then I began doing some edging and dry brushing with metallic paint to give it the look of a metal Gundam rather than, plastic. I went ahead and ran a blue light into the jetpack for the Gundam to make sure it had blue flames. I really wanted to mimic how I generally try and pull aggro in my games, and since blue flames burn hotter than red, I wanted to give him the impression that I had really ticked this fella off, causing him to lose focus and ultimately be taken down. Unlike Boba Peph, I tend to play much more as a tank, eating little bits of damage and blocking until I can find an opening for a power hit. For the Mickdalorian, I decided to go with a Punisher motif, as he's one of my favorite characters to watch and read. Not because I support his views or his methods, but because Frank Castle is, at his core, a tank and a damage sponge. I also find flawed characters much more interesting in terms of story, and Frank's story can go pretty wild. I also included much more damage on the Mickdalorian than I did for Boba Peph, because I hardly ever end a game without any damage or without a single death. Once the paint jobs were done, it was time to get to work on the base. I secured my foam board to the wooden base and marked out where I wanted the models to stand. As you'll see, this was really just for my mental reference, as I very silly ended up covering up those areas with the craft grass before finalizing where I was placing the models. I sealed the base in a coat of Mod Podge before giving it a coat of green spray paint off camera, and then applied another layer of Mod Podge to start laying down the nature bits. I also wanted to use more of the little trees that I had previously used to match it up with Boba Peff's diorama, though this time I decided to use purple flowers because I like purple, and then I secured the models in place before starting on the weapons. I wired up my red LED for the blaster bolt and secured it in place with some heat shrink and some hot glue. Then I used the handle of the Darksaber to house another LED for a sort of light dagger rather than a lightsaber. Once everything was in place, I soldered the positive and negative wires together before running them through the base. Then it was time to apply the exhaust smoke for the jetpacks using some pulled apart cotton balls. I also added some thin optical fibers to the connection point on the Gundam's scythe and the light dagger to give it a kind of sparking effect, which wasn't perfect, but still looked pretty cool. Next, it was time to paint the flames from the jetpacks, including a small spray of black to make it look smoky. I then gave the sides a coat of velvet black, and then onto the glamour shots and the full diorama. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it really helps out. We are inching closer to 500 subscribers, at which point I do want to do a special thank you build for all of you, so let me know if there's something you'd like to see in the comments, and that may be included as part of it. Until then though, thank you again for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.